These are a truck driver's hands, on a road with no guardrails, a 600-meter drop on one side, and nowhere to make a mistake. In places, the road is barely 3 meters wide, just enough for one vehicle. But for 70 years, two-way traffic used it every day. And somewhere along this road, a man stood here every day for 12 years. We'll come back to him. This is Death Road, Bolivia, El Camino de la Muerte. For most of the 20th century, it killed an average of one person every single day. And for millions of Bolivians, it was the only road they had. Imagine driving for 6 hours. Every blind corner could hide another truck coming the other way. Every meter demanded everything you had. You weren't driving fast, you were trying to survive. Bolivia even changed its traffic rules for this one road. Vehicles drive on the left here, so the driver going downhill can lean out and watch his own tire hovering over the edge. A mother traveling to see her family. A farmer carrying vegetables to market. Children going to school. A doctor making his rounds. Not thrill seekers, not adventurers, just ordinary people going somewhere on the only road that could take them there. The entire 64 kilometers is lined with white crosses. Everyone marks someone who never made it home. Flowers, photographs, names left by families who could never recover the body because some of those drops were simply too deep to reach. But among all those crosses, one man refused to let another one be placed. Why? We'll come back to him. Between 200 and 300 people died here every year for most of the 20th century. Not in a war, not in a disaster, just trying to get somewhere. The road was built in the 1930s, during the Chaco War. Paraguayan prisoners of war carved it by hand into a near vertical mountainside, using picks and dynamite. And the road claimed its first lives, long before a single vehicle ever drove across it. The road kept changing its victims. First, prisoners. Then, in 1944, 5 political leaders opposing Bolivia's military dictatorship were brought here and thrown over the edge. The road wasn't just dangerous, it became a weapon. Then came ordinary families. July 24th, 1983. A bus carrying more than 100 passengers reached a bend called Devil's Curve and went over the edge. There were no survivors. It remains Bolivia's worst road disaster. The wreckage was never recovered. More than 40 years later, it is still at the bottom of the gorge. By now, you might be thinking only reckless people use this road. People with no regard for their own safety. They weren't reckless. This was the only road connecting La Paz to Bolivia's northern lowlands. No other way to get food to market, to reach a hospital, or simply to go home. The danger wasn't a choice. It was the price of everyday life. In 1978, a man named Timoteo was traveling this road with his family. Their vehicle went over the edge. Timoteo survived. His family did not. Most people would have left and never looked back. Everyone who knew Timoteo expected him to do the same. He didn't. Instead, he built a small shelter beside the most dangerous bend on the road. Just timber, just tarpaulin, barely large enough to stand inside. And for years, it became his entire world, every day, for 12 years. Timoteo stood at that bend, holding 2 simple signs. Red meant stop, green meant go. He warned drivers about vehicles coming from the other direction, surviving only on small donations from the people whose lives he helped protect. people asked him the same question. For years. Why stay? His answer never changed. I don't want another family to go through what mine did. The road took everything from him. Then, it gave him a reason to wake up every morning. Nobody counted the lives his sign saved. Nobody gave him a title, a salary, or recognition. He simply kept showing up because the alternative was another family looking into that gorge. Every bus that stopped in time, every family that made it home, every journey that ended safely, instead of disappearing over the edge, owed something to a man living in a small tarpaulin shelter. A man nobody officially asked to be there. Then, in 2006, everything changed. Bolivia opened a new bypass road, paved, with guardrails, almost overnight. The trucks and buses disappeared. Traffic dropped by 90%. And for the first time in decades, the road fell silent. For 70 years, drivers prayed before using this road. Today, people stop to take selfies on the very same cliffs. More than 25,000 tourists now pay to cycle down it every year. Mountain bikers now descend the same cliffs where buses once disappeared. With helmets, guides, safety equipment, the world's deadliest road became an adventure destination. But when the engines disappeared, something else returned. Not people, nature. Researchers from the Wildlife Conservation Society placed camera traps along the old road. They recorded pumas, spectacled bears, 16 species of mammals, 94 species of birds. Wildlife returning to a place once defined by tragedy. But not every village received the new bypass. Some communities in the Yungas still travel this road today, not for adventure, not for photographs, but because it is still the only road that leads home. Death Road still exists. The dirt, the cliffs, the fog, the crosses. Almost nothing about the road has changed. Only the world around it has. Timoteo's shelter still stands beside the bend, empty now. The timber has weathered, but the bend hasn't changed. Stand here for a moment, look into the gorge, and you begin to understand why one man spent 12 years in this exact place. So other families would never have to experience what his did. The world's most dangerous road was never defined by its cliffs or its drops, or even its crosses. It was defined by the people who crossed it every single day because they had no other choice, and by one man who lost everything here and chose to stay so others wouldn't have to. Death Road was a place people couldn't avoid. Next week, we'll visit a place everyone chose to leave. An entire island, once full of life, now completely abandoned. And the reason every last person walked away is stranger than you might imagine. An entire community gone. Episode 9, The Island Everyone Left Behind. Coming next week. But what happens when an entire community disappears and leaves an entire city behind? This was Strange World Vault. If this changed how you see the world, subscribe and discover why.